It's a view of Marlborough few people get to see, thousands of feet above the cars and crowds, gliding in a seemingly endless stretch of sky.
It gives you this sense of freedom that you don't get in any other way. It gives you a different perspective on the world. You can get above it all. You're not stuck in traffic. You're just getting to experience the world around you, see it from a different perspective, and just have fun.
It's what brings this otherwise diverse group together. On the first Wednesday of every month, EAA Chapter 673, known to some as the Marlborough Antiquers, meets in a silver Quonset hut not far from the runway at Marlborough Airport.
Chapter is an extension, to me, it's an extension of the community around Marlborough Airport.
John Weigel grew up in the area and has spent his whole life enchanted with things that fly.
I've always loved things with wings. I've always, anything that flew. If an airplane flies overhead, you got to stop and look and see what it is. It's not a phase.
John's in good company in this hut.
Once I had that first lesson and I got off the ground, I was absolutely hooked. And it's been that way ever since. Flying is an addiction, really.
Jim Noon learned to fly in the military, but got his first go at the controls when he was in elementary school.
I had my first lesson when I was 5 years old, when I was in first grade, and my dad paid to have a lesson at Sterling Airport.
The range of flying experience varies among chapter members.
I had my first airplane ride when I was 13, and I was hooked.
My dad signed me up with an instructor when I was 11.
I've been flying since I was about 30 years old, so I've got about 25 years or so of experience.
But it's their level of enthusiasm that they share. The group is made up of pilots, builders, and people who are just generally excited about aviation.
You can fly through clouds, and you fly along, and there's a cloud, and you go through it, and you get to see the other side of the cloud. It's cool!
The chapter is part of the Young Eagles program, giving free airplane rides to local kids, often turning them into aviophiles. I was lucky enough to get a ride in a vintage Piper Cub. I couldn't help but be overwhelmed by the rush, even though I knew it was coming. It was all at once exhilarating and calming, a kind of fast floating feeling. I could see how it could turn any kid into an aviation nut. Christine Pulliam comes from a lineage of pilots and grew up eating donuts and watching planes with her family on Saturday mornings. She says Chapter 673 is about more than just flying.
It's not just about airplanes, it's about the people involved. It's a community, so just like any other community of enthusiasts, whether you're into golf or boating, you all get to hang out, share that common interest, have fun together, have cookouts together, and learn from each other too.
Marlborough is apparently well known in that community.
I flew out toward Minneapolis, and I landed in an airport, and they said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Marlborough." And they said, "Oh yeah, we know it."
Longtime pilot Rich Olson says his favorite part of flying actually happens before he gets in the air.
Flying is only one part of what we do. We also plan. And as an engineer, I enjoy the process of planning and then executing the plan.
Fellow engineer Kevin Norby says the flip side is the intangible part of flying that even he as a flight instructor can't explain.
But I like the fact that landing is kind of like learning how to ride a bicycle. Like, you can't explain how to balance. Someone just has to balance. You have to let go and do it. So there's parts of flying, no matter how much you think about it or know about it, really are just physical, where it's hand-eye coordination and subconscious mind.
He says teaching has helped make flying more affordable. The Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association estimates it costs between $5,000 and $9,000 to learn to fly and get your pilot certificate. Add on the cost of buying or renting a plane and you've got yourself a pretty expensive hobby. But as with any true passion, you find the money to do it.
Friends and I had discovered Marlborough Airport on our bicycles before we had our driver's licenses, and we used to just hang out here and watch the airplanes come and go. And then eventually it just leads to you get the wherewithal, the money to go and do it.
When the wheels leave the ground, I break into a smile. And I'm just happy. It just makes me happy to fly.
So if you're feeling down and are looking to change your attitude, maybe you just need to change your altitude. For First Edition, I'm Courtney Petrouski.